Good evening, everyone. Before we begin this session, I would like to request everyone to keep your cell phones on silent mode, please. And for the participants who are attending this program virtually, may please note that you would be on listen mode only. And in case you have any queries or you would like to pose a question for a Q&A session, then you may put that question in chat box. We would pick up your question from the chat box. Now I welcome you to this interesting session on envisioning and realizing a new future for Indian cities, organized jointly by the Gujarat Institute of Civil Engineers and Architects in association with Institute of Town Planners India and National Real Estate Development Council, Naredko, Gujarat. Today we are honored to have following dignitaries with us on the dais. Surendra Bhai Patel, whom we call Surendra Kaka. He is a former chairman of AUDA and former member of parliament. We also welcome Shri Keshav Verma sir, key speaker for today's evening. He is chairman at Sabarmati Riverfront Development Corporation Limited. Professor Shashwat Bandopadhyay, professor at Faculty of Planning at CEPT University. Professor Jignesh Mehta, at Faculty of Planning, CEPT University. Dr. Amarjit Singh sir, retired IAS officer, former chairman at Gujarat RERA. Dr. Bimal Patel, who will be joining us in a couple of minutes. He is President and Acting Director at CEPT University. Shri N.K. Patel, ex-President of ITPI and Chairman of Naredko, Gujarat. And Dr. Vatsal Patel, former Chief City Planner, Ahmedabad Municipal Corporation. And along with this, we also have on dais President of GICA, Shri Bakulbhai Desai, and President of Naredko, Shri Sureshbhai Patel with us. Now, before we take this program forward, I would request everyone to rise for National Anthem. I would also like to welcome Dr. Bimal Patel, President and Acting Director at CEPT University. Here he is with us. And now I would request President GICA, Shri Bakulbhai Desai, to give his welcome address.
Good evening, ladies, gentlemen, dignitaries on dais. With immense pleasure, pride and privilege, I welcome you all to this knowledge-packed session on envisioning and realizing a new future for Indian cities, organized by the Gujarat Institute of Civil Engineers and Architects in association with Institute of Town Planners India, Gujarat chapter and Naredko, Gujarat. Now I would like to welcome key speaker for today's evening, Sri Keshav Verma sir, a retired IAS officer, chairman of Sabarmati Riverfront Development Corporation and chairman of High Level Committee on Planning set up by Government of India. Further, I welcome two others distinguished speakers for today's evening, Professor Shashwat Bandopadhyay and Professor Jignesh Mehta, both from CEPT University. I also welcome all panel members like Dr. Amarjit Singh, Dr. Bimal Patel, Sri N.K. Patel, Dr. Vatsal Patel. We have tried to create a cohort of speakers and panel members in such a way that the audience can envision a 360-degree view of Indian cities in coming years. Just to set a perspective of this session, I have identified Some of the facts which I would like to share with everyone present is this auditorium. From 2001 to 2011, the number of cities with a population of over 1 million went up to 35 to 53, and the share of the urban population increased from 37% to 42.6%. One of the most complex challenges India faces today is the pace and pattern of urbanization. More than 9 million people were added to urban India every year between 2001 and 2011. It was for the first time since 1947 that more people were added to cities than to rural areas. This pace of urbanization is likely to continue, and it is estimated that 590 million people will start living in our cities by 2030, going up to 820 millions by 2050. It is mind-boggling to know that while it took about 100 years for the country's urban population to increase from 10 to 28%, the move to 50% will take only 40 years. However, such urbanization also leads to various challenges such as affordable housing, increased population, climate change, change in energy consumption pattern, increased governance and infrastructure demand. Hence, today's session will provide an in-depth view of what India cities hold for future. Now, without taking much time, I would request Yes Majetia to take this program forward. Thank you.
Now, before taking this program forward, I would request President GICA to present a memento to guest of today's evening, Shri Surendra Bhai Patel, whom we also call fondly as Surendra Kaka. Now we would start with, now we would take this session forward, and I would give a brief introduction of Shri Keshav Verma sir, followed by which he would deliver his presentation. So, Mr. Keshav Verma has an exceptional and pioneering record of achievement as a distinguished member of the Indian Administrative Service. He served as Industries Commissioner of Gujarat. During his tenure, Ahmedabad Municipal Corporation received an AA SO credit rating and issued the Ahmedabad City Bond, the first municipal bond issued in South Asia without central or state government guarantees. Mr. Verma subsequently joined the World Bank and served there for more than 16 years in various leadership roles. He is also part of important think tanks in urban policy and is well networked with important universities such as Harvard, MIT, Clemson, Duke. He is also the founding president of the International City Managers Association of India. Mr. Verma is the advisor to the government of Uttar Pradesh and Jammu and Kashmir. He is also chairman of Sabarmati Riverfront Development Corporation, Ahmedabad. He is the chairman of High-Level Committee on Urban Planning set up by Government of India. Mr. Verma is a passionate conservationist and conceived and mobilized a broad coalition of patents in the World Bank for conservation of tigers and snow leopards in the wild, for the project called the Tiger Initiative, which covers 20 range countries. With this, I would like to invite Keshav Verma sir to deliver his lectures for today evening.
Actually, Bimal has been creating confusion, so first we have to deal with him. Esteemed dignitaries on the dais, Kaka and my colleague Amarjeet, two of my teachers these days, including three teachers, including Bimal Patel, Jignesh, and Dr. Shashwat, and all the other dignitaries. Unlike others, I learned urban planning on the streets of Ahmedabad. अब इन लोगों ने तो क्लासेस में बहुत सीखा, और सबसे ज़्यादा दिक्कत जिसने की है मुझे स्ट्रीट्स ऑफ अहमदाबाद की प्लानिंग के लिए, दैट इज़ बिमल, ही सिटिंग हियर। सीजी रोड पे इन्होंने किस कदर डोमिनेट किया सिविल सर्विस को और अल्टीमेटली इट ऑल एंडेड अप वेल आई थिंक बन गई अच्छी ना सीजी रोड तो ये देर में आते हैं मगर दुरुस्त आते हैं I'm going to talk about cities and I'm very glad that the more learned audience of Ahmedabad is here because urbanization is a trend that has to be carefully understood. People haven't quite got it right. It's a huge revolution taking place in the world, especially in the developing countries. Satellite cities are, progressing at more than 6% annually, and as has been conveyed, the entire intensity of urbanization is completely a new trend in the developing world. So, unless there is proper awareness and conversation around urbanization and its impact, I think we'll continue to, have a situation in cities will continue to be problems rather than solutions. So today I am going to present some thoughts which are entirely on how cities can be different. I don't want to give a kind of inflated, wrong picture of the situation of the urban areas in our country. It's a massive challenge that we are facing. We are facing a very complex issue of jobs and skills and employment and other things, and how cities can be engines of economic growth and can be cities of opportunity. Urbanization is the defining phenomena of the 21st century. We are going to move into 50% urbanization by 2047. I think we'll move much beyond it, but according to census and others, we are already above 40% in India. I would like to dwell upon the idea of how urban development can be transformational. How urban development is something that can catalyze economic development, and if we do good planning, that economic development can happen. It happened in China. I worked as director of urban development on East Asia. I saw it happening, how they took a conscious view to ensure that good urban planning actually enhances the economic geographies of the most vibrant areas of China. So Shanghai, Wuxi, Suzhou, and then the Beijing, Tianjin, Beijing, Wuhan. They looked at regions and they looked how well-managed, well-governed urbanization can actually change the whole paradigm. My approach to today's presentation is pretty simple. I am going to dwell upon these 6 trends, which are fundamental to cities actually unleashing their total potential. Good governance has several manifestations. It is not just talking in the air about good governance. Good governance is about capacity building and professionalization. This is what we did in Ahmedabad. हम लोग जब अहमदाबाद में आए थे और we were actually seen as a bankrupt and organization hit by plague and city hit by plague. उस ज़माने में आपको अगर याद हो तो उस वक्त हम लोगों ने डिसीजन लिया था कि अहमदाबाद म्यूनिसिपल कॉरपोरेशन को प्रोफेशनलाइज करेंगे. दिस इज़ द फर्स्ट मूव. आई थिंक इट इज़ मोर सिग्निफिकेंट देन द फ्लोटेशन ऑफ द बॉन्ड, बिकॉज अगर ये प्रोफेशनलाइज नहीं होता है अहमदाबाद म्यूनिसिपल कॉरपोरेशन, उसमें MBAs और चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट्स और एनवायरमेंटल इंजीनियर्स और सारे लोग उस वक्त नहीं आते, तो वी वुड नेवर हैव क्रिएटेड अ सस्टेनेबल फाइनेंशियल गवर्नेंस मैकेनिज्म जिससे कि finally we got the AA SO rating and we could actually float a municipal bond. Actually, municipal bonds have been floated now in other places. But professionalization is fundamental and capacity building. हिंदुस्तान का हाल ये है, थोड़ा सा आपको बता दूं, क्योंकि मैंने अभी हाई लेवल कमेटी की मीटिंग की पहली रिपोर्ट भेजी है. उत्तर प्रदेश में 868 सिटीज़ हैं, उसमें 17 अर्बन प्लानर्स हैं. उन अर्बन प्लानर्स में से 9 अर्बन प्लानर्स इंजीनियर्स हैं. उत्तराखंड में 140 शहर हैं, उसमें 1 अर्बन प्लानर है. बिहार में पता नहीं कितने शहर हैं, कुछ पता नहीं मुझे, मगर उसमें 1 अर्बन प्लानर है. वी डोंट हैव अर्बन प्लानर्स. तो हम इतनी बड़ी बड़ी बातें कर रहे हैं. जो 8,500 शहर हैं, उसमें अगर आई एम स्ट्रेचिंग इट अ बिट, अगर उसमें ठीक से देखा जाए और आप एक लाइन खींच दे विंध्यास के नीचे, तो आपके सिर्फ 100 ऐसे शहर होंगे जहां पर गुड क्वालिटी अर्बन प्लानर्स हैं. ओनली 100. मे बी तमिलनाडु, कर्नाटक, महाराष्ट्र, गुजरात, अदर प्लेसेस. मगर मैं अभी भावनगर गया था, तो वहाँ पर अर्बन प्लानर्स को कहा कि अर्बन प्लानर्स, हम लोग दोनों रहे हैं, अमरजीत भी रहे हैं भावनगर, मैं भी म्यूनिसिपल कमिश्नर था, तो वहाँ बात हो रही थी. मैं कहता आप अर्बन प्लानर्स को बुलाइए. तो आए सब, बैठे करीब 11-12 लोग. कलेक्टर साहब ने उनको सबको बुला के इकट्ठा किया, म्यूनिसिपल कमिश्नर ने. मैंने कहा आप सर अपने क्वालिफिकेशन बताइए, क्या हैं आप, कहाँ से किया. सर मैं इलेक्ट्रिकल इंजीनियर हूँ, मैं जो हूँ सिविल इंजीनियर हूँ. नॉट अ सिंगल पर्सन वॉज अ अर्बन प्लानर. और आजकल खुशखबरी ये है कि कुछ स्टेट्स में IAS ऑफिसर भी चीफ टाउन एंड कंट्री प्लानर्स बन गए हैं. तो आई मीन हम जानते हैं कि IAS वाले कुछ भी कर सकते हैं, मगर अर्बन प्लानर्स भी बन गए. तो बिमल बड़े परेशान है इस बारे में कि इनका कहीं पोजीशन ना ले लें हम लोग. सो इंडिया की ये हालत है. हमने कहा है कि भैया जो सैंक्शन पोजीशंस का 22% पोजीशंस भरी गई हैं आज तक, लोग हैं नहीं. तो आई डोंट वांट टू गेट इनटू द रिकमेंडेशन, बट कहा है कि भाई जब तक अर्बन प्लानर्स नहीं होंगे तो हम क्या प्लानिंग करेंगे. यू गॉट टू गेट द राइट काइंड ऑफ पीपल. दूसरे किस तरीके के लोग आ रहे हैं. आई वॉज इन नैनीताल. नैनीताल में हमने कहा मास्टर प्लान्स को देखेंगे, वो देख रहे हैं मास्टर प्लान्स. तो एक ग्रुप आया, क्या आप कौन है, कि साहब हम इसका मास्टर प्लान बना रहे हैं नैनीताल का. अच्छा क्या बना रहे हैं आप. वो लेडी मुझसे आई, कहती सर ये यहाँ बड़ी चढ़ाई बहुत है नैनीताल में. माउंटेन है, चढ़ाई होगी. कहता मैं वॉकिंग एस्केलेटर लगा दीजिए. नैनीताल में जाइए, वॉकिंग एस्केलेटर पर खड़े हो जाइए, ऊपर चले जाइए, फिर वहाँ से नीचे आ जाइए. तो आई मीन दीज आर द काइंड ऑफ पीपल who are actually going to produce urban scape of a different character. It's going to be a very important issue. And finally, governance में बहुत सारी चीज़ें हैं. अभी हम जाते हैं उत्तराखंड में या लखनऊ में, तो अनलाइक गुजरात जहाँ पर म्यूनिसिपल कमिश्नर इज एपेक्स कन्वर्जिंग अथॉरिटी, लखनऊ में हम ढूंढ रहे हैं कि भाई हु इज रनिंग द सिटी ऑफ लखनऊ. बता, म्यूनिसिपल कमिश्नर का काम है सिर्फ झाड़ू लगाना. डेवलपमेंट अथॉरिटी बन गई है. डेवलपमेंट अथॉरिटी वो क्या कहलाता है, जल संस्थान, जल निगम, PWD, सारी की सारी 6-7 एजेंसीज आर रनिंग द सिटी. यू कैन नेवर पिन पॉइंट कौन कर रहा है. खास करके जब हम वी टॉक अबाउट cities being engines of economic growth, India is the only place in the world where city governments are excluded from local economic development or any kind of economic planning. हमारी यहीं अर्बन इकोनॉमिस्ट हैं ही नहीं, और ना हमसे एक्सपेक्टेशन है कि हम तो सारे जॉब्स यहीं आ रहे हैं, सारा इनोवेशन यहीं होना है, सारे स्किल्स यहीं बननी है, मगर we are completely not doing it. So it's a huge issue. सोल्यूशन मैं बताने जाऊंगा तो कल तक चलेगा, तो वही बेचारे सब लोग बैठे रहेंगे। मगर अभी आपको मैं बता रहा हूँ कि क्या दिक्कत है। हमने कहा है कि एवरी सिटी मस्ट हैव अ सिटी इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट काउंसिल, एटलीस्ट जो कम से कम 69 मिलियन प्लस सिटीज़ हैं वहाँ तो करिए, और सारे जितने प्रोफेशनल्स हैं, AMA के हैं, इंजीनियर्स के हैं, आर्किटेक्ट्स हैं, बनाइए एडवाइजरी ग्रुप फॉर सिटीज़, बिकॉज कौन चला रहा है शहर इज़ प्रोफेशनलिज्म सीपिंग इनटू द गवर्नेंस ऑफ सिटी मैनेजमेंट। सेकंड मेरा पॉइंट है लिवेबिलिटी। मैं एक कंट्रोवर्शियल स्टेटमेंट देने वाला हूँ, इट डज नॉट अप्लाई टू रिवर फ्रंट। We have invested a lot of money in creating ugly, inefficient and unhealthy cities. लोग कहते हैं आप ये कह रहे हैं, मैंने कहाँ कह रहे हैं, चल ही नहीं सकते हैं आप सड़कों पर, ना फुटपाथ है, ना कोई उसमें इस प्रकार की कोई रैशनेल है, ना उसमें ओपन स्पेसेस हैं, ना कोई रिवर फ्रंट है, ना कोई वाटर फ्रंट है, कुछ नहीं, बस बढ़े जा रहा है। जैसे आज अहमदाबाद बढ़ रहा है, SG रोड की तरफ एक तरफ भाग गया, एक तरफ दूसरी तरफ भाग रहा है, एंड वी आर कंडक्टिंग दिस लीप फ्रॉग अर्बनाइजेशन। सो वन इशू इज़ कि जो चाइना में हुआ और वियतनाम में हुआ, सब जगह द शेप ऑफ सिटीज़ अंडरवेंट अ चेंज। हमारे यहाँ शेप ऑफ सिटीज़ वही रह रहा है, पैसा डालते रहिए, अब लगे वही बुरा उजाड़ सा लग रहा है पूरा। सो they took this, and in our urban planning part, Jignesh has been leading it, that we said planning के साथ साथ design form और aesthetics भी होना चाहिए. You got to create beautiful cities. You can't kill the beauty of the city just under concrete and cement. You have to create it. So I think the most significant development in Ahmedabad has been the riverfront. I mean, it's a miracle कि ऐसी चीज़ हो गई। माफ़ कीजिए, इसमें बिमल को कॉम्प्लीमेंट करना पड़ेगा, और काका की लीडरशिप एंड परसिस्टेंस एंड डिप्लोमेटिक स्किल इनमें बहुत है, तो इनको भी। एंड ये बैठे हैं कैप्टन महाजन यहाँ, जो कि इसके मैनेजिंग डायरेक्टर हैं, ये छुपे रहते हैं मगर ही डिड अ ग्रेट जॉब। तो एक तो ये है कि खूबसूरत शहर बने। दूसरा, शहर जो हैं हुज एक्चुअली, ये किन के लिए डिज़ाइन हो रहे हैं शहर? गाड़ियों, कार ओनर्स के लिए, किसके लिए हो रहे हैं डिज़ाइन? ऑल द सिटीज़ आर बीइंग ऑर्गेनाइज्ड एंड प्लान्ड फॉर कार ओनर्स। जो पेडेस्ट्रियन है उसको तो हम ट्रैफिक में, अंडर द लॉ ए पेडेस्ट्रियन इज़ नॉट ट्रैफिक, उसकी कुछ हमें फ़र्क नहीं पड़ता। जितने फुटपाथ हैं सब निकाल के फेंक दीजिए और वो बनाइए कैरेज वे। अब आप देखिए कि जब फुटपाथ बने CG रोड पे पहली बार, तो वहाँ की रिटेल भी अच्छी हो गई, इट बिकेम मच बेटर। सो पीपल हैव नॉट बीन एबल, hello, so people have not been able to relate that good planning actually is good economics, and pedestrianization actually leads to stimulating the local economy of the country, of the city. So ये भी हम लोग एक हर जगह, जयपुर में जाइए वहाँ पर से हट रहे हैं, पुराने जयसिंह, महाराजा जयसिंह ने बनाए थे, तोड़ो उसको। अहमदाबाद में मैंने बड़ी खुशखबरी सुनी कि यहाँ जो बेचारे थे फुटपाथ उसको तोड़ा जा रहा है। क्यों तोड़ा जा रहा है? अरे साहब उस पर दबाण हो जाता है। अरे दबाण हो जाता है तो उसका दबाण हटाइए भाई, आप हैं किस लिए म्यूनिसिपल कमिश्नर? मगर फुटपाथ थोड़ी हटाया जा। और देखिए, आई वॉन्ट टू नो CG रोड पे क्यों नहीं होता है दबाण? बिमल, डोंट लुक डाउन, यू हैव टू आंसर दिस क्वेश्चन। तो CG रोड पे दबाण नहीं होता है तो दे गॉट टू बी, इफ देयर इज इकोनॉमिक एक्टिविटी गोइंग ऑन, we have to create beautiful cities, because without a footpath a city looks completely incomplete. आपको मैं फोटो दिखाऊंगा कुछ चीज़ों की। थर्ड इशू इज competitiveness. हिंदुस्तान में 8,000 किलोमीटर का कोस्ट लाइन है, कोस्टल सिटीज़ हैं। उससे फ़र्क उसमें कुछ दिखाने का है नहीं अभी, स्क्रीन फोटोज अभी आएंगे, तब तक शायद चल जाएगा। स्क्रीन हो गई ठीक? हाँ ठीक है। अभी अभी तो 2 घंटे हैं स्क्रीन वो फोटो दिखाने के, आपके 2 घंटे बाद मुझे ही करनी है सर। सो सी manufacturing towns, we have city regions. Ahmedabad, Gandhinagar, Surat, Navsari, Bilimora. These are city regions which can actually become growth drivers for our country. There's an amazing potential and we can be competitive across the world. We have Cochin है, हमारे वाइजैक है, सारी जगह हैं, उसमें ये हैं city regions, and we can actually enhance the economic geography of gateway regions. We can create gateway cities in our country, which can be leading the commerce and industry and other things. ये cities की बात मैंने आपसे कर दी है, मगर एक बहुत बड़ी बात जो समझने की है कि शहरों में ऑप्टिमाइजेशन ऑफ प्रेजेंट एसेट्स इज नॉट ऑब्जेक्टिव। तो यहाँ पर क्या होगा, जैसे लखनऊ नहीं आगरा, ट्रीटमेंट प्लांट में क्या चक्कर क्या है, क्यों गंदा हो रहा है? उसमें 6 पंपिंग स्टेशन पंप्स हैं। कहा भाई, कहता 2 चल रहे हैं। हमने कहा 2 चल रहे हैं, 4 क्यों बंद? कहता वो मेंटेनेंस के लिए बंद कर रखे हैं। अरे तुम उसके पीछे फेंक रहो। अरे सर वो तो ठीक है मेंटेनेंस कर रहे हैं, 1100 करोड़ का एक और प्रपोजल दिया है। तुम्हारा यूटिलाइजेशन is 40%. You want another new project, and this is happening in our country in a huge way. Optimization of present assets हो नहीं रहा है और हर आदमी नए प्रोजेक्ट को करने में लगा हुआ है। That's an issue which we have to deal with. Environmental sustainability बारे में the less said the better. India has 28 trees per capita. China, half desert in Urumqi and other places, has 300 trees per capita. US has 700 trees per capita. Brazil has 8,000 trees per capita. Canada has 8,000 trees per capita. Russia has more than 8,500 trees per capita. हमारे 28 में आप सोचिए गुजरात में कितने होंगे पर कैपिटा? 8-10। और कोटेश्वर में मैं रहता हूँ, जितने पेड़ हैं जम के कटे, जम के उसमें वो नहीं है। We are so insensitive to environmental planning as far as planning is concerned, and we need to do something about it very seriously, because शहरों में पानी की कमी हो और शहरों में हीट स्ट्रेस इतना हो जाएगा, यहाँ रहना दिक्कत हो जाएगा। पोल्यूशन का छोड़िए, आई लिव इन गुड़गांव में जब आ रहा था तो 450 AQI करते थे। It is happening and we have to do something. We are saying that we should have a city biodiversity index, जैसे सिंगापुर में हुआ, and हर शहर के साथ एक 1 city 1 forest किया जाए। सांस तो ले सके आदमी, जाके कहाँ जाएंगे, कहाँ? फुटपाथ नहीं है, फुटपाथ हटा दिए, जंगल काट दिए, पेड़ काट दिए, कहाँ जाएगा आदमी? वहाँ रहेगा तो ही बिकम वेरी अनहेल्दी ना, ही कांट कम आउट एंड एक्चुअली एक्सरसाइज। एक जगह एक्सरसाइज करने की अहमदाबाद में विच इज दी साबरमती रिवर, एंड आई ऑलवेज से इट इज अ सेल्फ हैबिटेट। तो लास्ट चीज सिटी मैनेजमेंट में कुछ करने की, पीपल पर डे, तो उसको रेगुलेट करना पड़ा हमने कि अदर लोग चढ़ जाएंगे उसके ऊपर। इट showcases the need for public spaces in a city। जहाँ भी आप पब्लिक स्पेस बना, लोग वहाँ पर कॉम्युनिकेट करें। दूसरा क्या है कि जो हम लोगों ने इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बनाया है साबरमती में, इट इज ट्रिगरिंग चेंज एंड डूइंग रीडेवलपमेंट। दिस इज गोइंग टू बी द फ्यूचर ऑफ all urban development। How good urban planning and social infrastructure can actually trigger this kind of redevelopment। ये मेरे इन्होंने महाजन साहब ने लिए फोटो मेरे ऑफिस के उससे। अब मैं आपको इंटरेस्टिंग चीज़ दिखाने चाह रहा हूँ, दी अर्बन ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन इन श्रीनगर। श्रीनगर अभी तक कौन गया है लास्ट, आप लोगों से अभी कौन कौन गया? नहीं, लेटली कौन गया? कोई गया? तो अर्बन रिन्यूअल का मतलब क्या है, ये हमको दिखाना चाहते हैं। और हमारा इंटेंशन था इन 2018 प्राइम मिनिस्टर टोल्ड मी कि आप जाइए श्रीनगर में। जाके हमने 30 जीन्स पहन के एक हफ्ते वी वेंट अराउंड विदाउट सिक्योरिटी थ्रू श्रीनगर सिटी, विदाउट सिक्योरिटी। उनको प्लान दिया ना, कहने का ये कैसे किया आपने? हमने कहा वॉक करें, कहने मुझे पता चला बिना सिक्योरिटी घूम रहे। कहले मैं भी घूमता था बिना सिक्योरिटी। तो यू नो चौक का नाम सुना? लाल चौक is the epicenter of all terrorism and किसी भी चीजें हो सकती हैं। बता रहे हैं। No, I want you to see. It is लाल चौक को छूना। पहले तो हम लोगों ने उसमें कावड़ में पहली बार फ्लैग, फिर हमने कहा कि रिव्यू करते हैं, फिर से फोटो निकालते हैं। मुझे हरदीप सिंह जी मोदी ने कहा कि तुम्हारा दिमाग खराब हो रहा है, लाल चौक तुम इसको रिव्यू करने के चक्कर में। मैंने कहा अच्छा करेंगे, हमने कहा इसको वर्ल्ड क्लास प्लाजा बनाया जाएगा। जिधर बैठे हैं पाकिस्तान और ये लोग, उनके दिमाग खुल जाए कि क्या डेवलपमेंट हो रहा है। वी वांट टू क्रिएट, वी वांट टू क्रिएट अ मॉडल ऑफ डेवलपमेंट इन श्रीनगर विच विल ओपन द आईज ऑफ ऑल आवर पीपल। नेबर्स हैं, उनके दिमाग में आना चाहिए कि हम क्या कर सकते हैं। तो हमारा ये मेन चीज़ थी, वी वांट इट। एंड ऑल्सो ये
second very important issue, and that's what I'm going to build in this particular presentation now, that our planners, whatever the planners are there in the government, almost 40-45% of them are lying vacant. Because absolutely there is no planning officer to take those planning agenda forward. Ahmedabad, Gujarat, you see other cities are very popular. We have a culture, legacy where plans are working and planners are working, at least to some extent. And WRI, World Resource Institute, came out with another report saying cost of dysfunctional cities are enormous in this country. So here, the first question that we as a committee we started looking at is, so why is plan not working, and except for sporadic like Ahmedabad, few cities in Ahmedabad. So the first thing many of you started discussing, asking why, what is the problem? Is it the poor planning framework is a problem? Is the poor planners are a problem? Or the regulation is a problem? And then we started constructing also, and Mr. Verma is as a committee member and he is supported by another. We asked him, let's go out and talk to Singapore guys. He said, no, do whatever you want, do from here. And don't spend our committee money. So we started, interviewing people, we started asking that if Singapore is the kind of any country, we keep talking about in summer vacation, we keep visiting and we take a lot of time in visiting. So as we asked Singapore planner that what is that, your plans have been celebrated, what is good about your plan? And then she shared, it's a very interesting, many of you know this called iceberg diagram, that our cities are good working because our plans, there are layers which you don't see. There are planners, there are planning regulation, and there are certain framework. That's what our plans are working. So few global cities, they told us, if your cities are not planning working, three things that you must invest. One is that you first have planners. If you don't have planners, who is going to take your plans forward? And we'll show you some statistics absolutely here in the bottom of the pyramid. So if you see some of the reference numbers, and I keep hearing, when you go to Delhi, you say the planners is काम नहीं करते, तो planner है हमारे पास. The second one is the state of urban planning regulation. India में सारे स्टेट की urban planning जो regulation, town planning act बने थे 60s, India was very lowly urbanized. At that time, as Dr. Bhai mentioned, we are actually more of a rural, agrarian society were not understood. So most of those acts of 70s and 60s, they have not been revised till date. And only Gujarat is one, constantly Gujarat State Town Planning Act has been responding to government. Then of course the last third part of it, that do you have a planning framework and guideline? And my colleague Vignesh is going to briefly talk about. Now just look at it. We always say every time any occasion we see and we take a lot of kind of pride that I just visited USA, cities are so beautiful and our cities are so ugly. The first thing we said is that we called up all the planning associations, American Planning Association, German Planners Association, Singapore Town Planners Association. We dropped this evidence is unfortunately not available. People are not, we have Institute of Town Planners, we have, and you will realize that most of the global situation, good cities, good countries where the ratio is about one planner for 3,000 to 6,000 population. And I have just marked on the bottom, you see one planner is, because we don't have a registry of planners, only whatever planning registry is done by Institute of Town Planners Delhi, they have about roughly 8,200 members. And assuming not everybody is registered with them, we can have 3,000 or 4,000 additional. So we have one planner for 1 million population. One planner for 10 lakh लोगों के लिए है, जहाँ पे global. So and that is the time. And fortunately, this is the same time we came across two very enlightened personality. One is Dr. Amarjit Singh and another colleague from Niti Aayog. Both of them have spent similar their time in the health sector. They said, health sector has a very similar issue. If you see the number of beds, number of doctors per capita per 100 population, this is so low. And then he said, let's look at evidence and then see that how many planners should India likely to. Now then we started looking at some of the state departments, that how many planners in these states, some of the prominent state, and Gujarat I said it is in one of the slightly better, still not the desirable ratio, but if you, as Mr. Verma was saying, that one of the largest city system, most, highest urbanizable state is in Tamil Nadu, close to about, after Maharashtra it is about 48%, but number of town, what UP has, about 850 to 900 towns, they have sanctioned post about 214. And they have actually their positions which are, actually it is, by mistake, it is actually the filled up position. 67 planners are in, in place. 17, okay. So there was some mistake I realized. Most importantly, what happened is there was in Uttarakhand, after there was a Joshimath incident, lot was written, and I was that day in Delhi, and everybody is saying, urban planners are not working and urban planning is not working, and Mr. Verma is also an advisor, so we reached out to the state government. First they came up, they have about roughly 150 towns, 115, and first they said we have 2 sanctioned positions. So he said, okay, let's talk to 2. Then they said, nahi, 2 mein 1 nahi hai, abhi wo khali hai. So imagine that, that we are saying we are blaming planners, but there is no, you have not provided us with the equipment, and you can see the ratios. And one of the most prominent is Tamil Nadu, which is in the forefront of urbanization, and the state is, so as a nationally, if you see that, our ratios are so low, that's, very, very significant in terms of that. Third, what Mr. Verma was talking about, economic geography. If you see the economic productivity, GDP of some of the cities, they are equivalent to some of our states and some of our countries. These are poster child. If you look at New York, if you look at Tokyo, some of these cities. Now let's look at our GDP in our cities. And this is what, that because we have not cities who have been investing systematically on the planned urban development, investing in the building the capacity and human resources, you can see the kind of comparison that we are getting into. And look at, this is the state, most, as Mr. Verma mentioned, when you were talking to Singapore urban planners, she said we had a 6.5 million, I think around 6 million population, roughly about 700 square kilometer area, which could be a little bit of Ahmedabad urban area, a little bit of extension, 1,300 planners. And you look at pick up any cities, I think Jignesh was working earlier in some of this, and I was talking to some of the colleagues in San Francisco and other cities, we simply don't have those numbers. Chennai Metropolitan Authority, they have, it's a large 1,200 square kilometer, it's one of the leading city, has just 70 planners. And the moment you ask them, this is all they tell about the sanctioned position in this thing. So what we are looking at, where are the planners? Our ratios, when it should be, I think Niti said about 1 planner for at least 30,000 or 50,000 population, we just don't have those numbers. Some states like Gujarat, Haryana, Madhya Pradesh are slightly better, but still not. The other part is what came out also, that we realized it not only having planner is important, but it is very important to have quality planners. Because many cases, some state, suddenly said, chalo, position bhar do. And our national government often has this thing, they said, agar aap position bharenge, to hum aapko reform grant denge. This is generally the way central and state relation operates. So kuch state ne unhone hire bhi kar liya. And then we realized, they said, we have hired people, but we don't know what to do with them. Because they don't know, and again, that's what colleague of Dr. Amarjit Singh, who has worked in the health sector, a Bihar cadre officer briefly in the Delhi, he said, whenever we hire a people, we must know what is the function. Before you select the functionary, like many of you be hiring, it's called job description. So we started looking at that this whole formula, first define function, then have functionaries, then give your grant, and then build the capacity. And that's what we started looking at, and only one state in India has some structure which they create in Haryana, they actually define function of what a one urban planner is supposed to do, what would be the role of that planner in this position. And then we looked at some of our state acts and realized that urban planner is supposed to do about 8, 9 things together. And that's where we need to define. And this is what the proposition, and I wanted, that unless until we clearly define the functions and functionaries, most of our vision for having livable, sustainable future cities are not going to be achievable. And that's what we are saying, 3 typologies, what a government planner does, a planner engaged with the government, a planner engaged in the private sector, and a planner engaged with in the academia and research. And unless until we create clear verticals, otherwise, one particular state for last few years have been sending a lot of planners for training in Ahmedabad. Every time they come, they said, we are very happy, we have really liked your training and your food, etc., etc. So one day their secretary called saying that हमने 2 साल से तुम्हारे यहाँ पे planner भेज रहे हैं. And every time they come back and say, बहुत अच्छा training, Ahmedabad तो बहुत अच्छा लगा. But every time we ask them, भाई plan कब बना रहे हो? बोलते plan नहीं बन सकता है. So then he said, just figure out. So last time when they were here, I was asking them, भाई आपके प्लान कब बनेंगे? आपके इतने बड़े स्टेट है, आप प्लान कब बनाना शुरू करेंगे? He said, सर प्लान बन नहीं सकता है हमारे से, आप एक काम कीजिए, प्लानर गुजरात से ही भेज दीजिए, वो लोग प्लान बनाएंगे, हम लोग अप्रूव करेंगे. Actually this is how we need to clarify, clearly create. We have to have human resources who would be able to deliver, and that's what I think we need to come together. And the last part, the last point, and that's what I wanted to actually stop here, is that there is an immense confusion about, all global cities work on 3 verticals. One is on governance, one is on planning, and one is about management. Yesterday, a planner from Delhi, she was telling me that after the draft Delhi master plan was published, she received 40,000 complaints. And 38,000 complaints are about पानी नहीं जा रहा है, road टूट गया है. And this is what actually the 3rd vertical. All cities, one is that you create a governance vertical, a vertical which is planning, which is will look at the mid-term and long-term, and the last one is day-to-day issues. And that's what Mr. Verma was mentioning when he said professionalizing urban development. These 3 pillars have to be equally strengthened together. Then only I think we'll see our cities much more, in a better shape. In the last part, that this whole business of managing cities is interdisciplinary in nature. There is one discipline that I am urban planner and I will do everything, or I'm an architect, I'll do everything. We must have to open door, expand the definition of what urban, and we need all these professionals in this fold to manage our cities. So thank you very much for your time, and I hope together we'll be able to make this journey. Thank you.
I would like to request Mr. Shyalin Patel, who is chairman of ITPI Gujarat region. He is from Surat. So he is here with us. I would request him to come here and please sit with us on dais. And now I would request Mr. Yogesh Bhavsar to present a memento to today's speaker, Professor Shashwat Bandyopadhyay. So I would request Suresh Bhai to present a memento to Dr. Shashwat Bandyopadhyay. And as a next speaker for the evening, we have Professor Jignesh Mehta. He would be talking on strengthening micro-level planning in Indian cities. And to give a brief background about Jignesh is a senior adjunct associate professor and program chair of Master of Urban Planning at Faculty of Planning at CEPT University. He is also senior consultant and team leader at Center for Urban Planning and Policy, CEPT Research and Development Foundation, CRDF. Jignesh's work area range from development plans, master plans and local area plans to transit-oriented developments, development regulations which we call DCRs, form-based regulations, heritage area planning, and urban design solution. Jignesh is currently working on projects for improving LAP, TPS, and DP mechanism in various cities of India. So I would like to invite him to give his presentation. I would request you to read out at 10 minutes.
So thank you, Yash, and thank you, JICA and Mr. N.K. Patel and Professor Mr. Keshav Verma for inviting me here, having me here. I think both of the talks, fantastic talks by Mr. Keshav Verma and Shashwat. And I would like to just simply take just few minutes to show the planning side of things and the existing situation that we have, and then we'll just go from there. So as we heard from Bakul Bhai today in the morning, in the first talk, India is growing, India is urbanizing, and as you can see the graphs here, very rapidly. World is already urbanized. World is more than 50% urbanized. More than 50% people in the world are living in urban areas. India is getting there, and by 2047 actually India will be more than 50% urban. So that's an important milestone. And in terms of our cities, if you see, more than 52 of our urban agglomerations are more than billion plus population, and this is only going to grow. Also, there are many more smaller cities and towns. They are going to grow and become much larger cities. So these are the places where we will need urban planners. These are the places where we will need urban transformations. And the key question is, how do we get there? And that is what Mr. Keshav Verma has been emphasizing, Shashwat has been emphasizing. One of the things that we do not really realize, we do not really think about land as a resource. Generally we think about water as a resource. We think about energy as a resource. And we talk about renewable resources and non-renewable resources. Land is a limited resource. We have only so much of it. And whatever we do, we need to be careful with it. In terms of planning, we have to be absolutely careful. And not only for today's generation, but also for the future generations. So unless we really plan our cities well, it is going to be very, very difficult later on to change scenarios like this. You can see on your screen, if the city starts sprawling without sufficient street networks, without sufficient infrastructure, later on it's going to be very, very difficult to really improve on these kind of scenarios. And this is where you see this is an example from Kolkata. You can see the planned area around Bidhan Nagar, and then you can see the unplanned growth. And when you see this kind of unplanned growth, immediately it comes to your mind that how are these people going to travel? How are they going to get water? How are they going to have drainage and sewage systems? And this is where later on to go and do something is going to be almost impossible. So this is where planning really comes into play. And one of the studies I'll just like to talk about that unfortunately many of our cities are likely to head in this direction. And one of our studies that we did for what are we doing to create these kind of create and manage this kind of situation? What are kind of planning systems do we have? So we did a study across India. What kind of statutory planning mechanisms that we have? And you can see, about 15 states, 26 cities is what we looked at. This is one sample of it. So this is by no means comprehensive sample. But you see, what we did was we said that in all of these states and all of the cities, what do the act say about preparing the plan? And their acts, if you see in all these verticals, they are the different cities, and horizontally there is different scales of plans that you are supposed to prepare as per the act. So you have regional planning, then in some places you are supposed to prepare district plans. At the next level, then you are supposed to prepare urban area plans. So ORDA is an urban area plan. Then the next level, city level plans. Then you have zonal plans. So Delhi also prepares zonal plans. They have master plans and then they have zonal plans. Then you have micro level plans, which are town planning schemes and local area plans. And then you have absolutely micro level is layout plans. So all of these levels and the state acts generally define that what are the plans that you are supposed to prepare. And if you then I'm not expecting you to read this slide, but if you see the red color, wherever you see the red color, that means that's the plan that is expected by the act to be prepared by the city, but they are not preparing. And the green ones are the only ones that are being prepared. So now when you start analyzing the situation at regional scale, when you see all these cities that we studied, it includes Chandigarh and Patna and multiple various other cities, Guwahati included. So now when you see only 19% of the cities that are supposed to prepare the regional plan are actually preparing the regional plan. Now what does that mean? That means that act is there, but the plans are not being prepared. And as Professor Shashwat said, there are various reasons, one of them being the capacity, the other is being actually the departmental confusions and complexities, and these are the reasons why these kind of situations arise. The next level, when you see district level, there are very few, so between this and that, there is in between level, which is district level, you will see all of them as red, meaning some of the states also require to prepare district plans, but none of them are really getting prepared. The next level, which is urban area level plans, and those are the plans that are being prepared the most. So the number of cities that we studied, 88% of the cities are actually preparing the master plans and development plans. So that is the predominant level of plans, and which is a good thing. Then when you go down to the zonal plan level, now in Gujarat, we are not supposed to prepare zonal plan. Oda is not preparing, and none of our cities are preparing zonal plan, but Delhi, they are supposed to prepare zonal plan. Or UP, the cities are supposed to prepare zonal plan. Even MP, the cities are supposed to prepare zonal plan. But only 26% of those cities who are supposed to prepare zonal plans are actually preparing zonal plans. So this is where now when you're talking about master plan and then master plan getting implemented through zonal plans are not being prepared. So now we know why some of these plans are not getting implemented, because the next level of planning is lacking. And then subsequently when you go down to micro level planning, when we talk about town planning schemes and local area plans, only 32% cities are even attempting to prepare town planning schemes, and Gujarat is very, very fortunate that most of our development is happening through town planning schemes. And this is where Gujarat is a torch bearer for the rest of the country. And this is where you see that the other cities, other states, so many of them have actually planning, in their planning mechanism, they have town planning scheme as a requirement. But that requirement is either lacking because the way the act is written, or there is no capacity to actually prepare town planning scheme, because town planning scheme is a complex mechanism and you need experience to deal with it. So there are very few of those cities, they may have prepared 1 or 2 or 3 town planning schemes, and then it is left alone. And the local area plans, which now we have started preparing in Gujarat, that is a mechanism to deal with the existing cities. Town planning schemes are for greenfield planning. Local area plans are supposed to be dealing with the existing cities, where how do you really improve places like Ashram Road and convert that into a CBD, or how do you improve a transit-oriented area and convert that into a real TOD. So that's the local area plan mechanism. That's what we have in Gujarat, but most of the other cities don't have it. So that's the kind of broad overview that I just wanted to share with you, and that's where now it is very critical that we do not really need to have more number of plans. We need to have whatever number of plans that we prepare has to be prepared in an efficient way and in a better way. So some observations from some of these studies, and one of the things that also we have been discussing, Keshav Verma Sahab and Shashwat and the whole team. One is that more number of plans required by the Act does not mean it will result into better planning. And this is where we need to start figuring out simplified system of planning, where we are preparing master plan in Gujarat, that is good. It's called development plan in Gujarat, that is good. We are preparing town planning scheme, that is good. Also, one more layer that we can think about for larger cities is regional planning. And the regional planning is where multiple cities come together in a coordinated manner, so that when there is new high speed rail coming, for example, how do you do growth in a coherent manner? Or there are large infrastructure coming, how do you really coordinate with that large infrastructure so that multiple cities can start working together as a single agglomeration? So that's one learning that came out. So for rest of the cities, they need to actually work on both micro level as well as regional level. Another observation was that we need to prepare local area plans and improve our existing cities through local area plans. Now this is something that in Gujarat, town planning scheme mechanism came in 1915. So we have been actually doing town planning schemes since more than 100 years. The local area plan mechanism came in 2014, and that's when our act was amended. The ODA prepared the current DP, and after that our act was amended to have local area plans, which actually allows things like transit oriented development and CBD. And these are the plans that now we need to prepare many more of it. And these are the ways in which we can start improving our existing areas. These plans can be for areas like CBD, areas like TOD, areas like heritage precinct. We also are a World Heritage City. Ahmedabad is a World Heritage City. The issue is that what do we do with World Heritage City? How do we conserve? And for that, it's not about conserving individual houses and individual havelis, but also improving the poles and the overall precinct. And that's where we are talking about improving the public domain. So we need to also improve both public domain as well as private area. So there is a need that needs to come out. And then, as I mentioned, regional plan has to be prepared, and for that we need to figure out institutional mechanism who will prepare the regional plan, what kind of authorities will be needed. So that's another need. Thank you. And the second last point is where we need to really figure out a way in which we improve the public realm. So Verma Sahab showed Srinagar. We have CG Road here, and there are places like Pune, they have MG Road and Pondi Bazaar in Chennai. So these are places where actually streets are getting improved, but we need to really identify many more of these streets and improve them. And the last is that we need to actually improve our urban form, because the kind of cities that we are living in, the urban form, if you see, it's a result of our regulations. And that's where you end up seeing a lot of clutter. When you are actually experiencing your city, you may have buildings which are incoherent, buildings where some buildings are coming in front, some buildings are setting back, and there is no coherence. Whereas you see our old cities like the Fort area in Mumbai or Connaught Place in Delhi. Now these are places where you see very nice urban forms. Or when you go to Europe, when you go to Paris, you feel really good because urban form is there. And that is because of the regulations that we have, and we need to really think about form-based approach to our regulations. So these are some of the needs that came out, and we all need to really think about it as planners, as engineers, as architects, as a whole community. So this is where I will stop. Thank you.
Thank you, Jignesh sir, for such a wonderful presentation. And now I would request Mr. Shainil Patel to present a moment or to speaker, Mr. Jignesh Mehta. And now we are moving forward towards a panel discussion for which we have Dr. Amarjit Singh sir, who is a former chairman of Gujarat RERA. Along with that, we have Shri N.K. Patel sahab, who is an ex-president of ITPI and chairman of Naradko Gujarat, and Dr. Vatsal Patel, who is a former chief city planner at Ahmedabad Municipal Corporation. So, and I would like to request Keshav Verma sir if he is comfortable to moderate this session. Sir.
Hello. Hello. I thought we were getting this dinner was free. Now I have to work for it, is it? So, yeah, वो था ठीक रहेगा. तो पहले Amarjeet, you'd like to go first? Amarjeet has been doing a very, very fascinating job as chairman of RERA. And हाँ ये बैठ के बोलिए यहीं पर ये पैनल डिस्कशन यहीं से होगा. Please go ahead.
Very good evening, friends. I think it's wonderful what this high-level committee has done. Created enough material for very fruitful discussions on envisioning our cities of the future. I have few points to share for consideration of all of you. My first point is the sustainability aspect. If you look at the dynamics of the economics of Indian population, 48% of the population lives in our villages, and their access to the GDP is only 15%. 48% people, only 15% of GDP. And those are the people who are going to shift to the cities now. This 50 crore population which Saswat has been talking by the year 2030, those are the people. So how do you sustain that population? What is the economic model which you have for those people? Or are you going to just have slums as before in many of the cities? That's my first point. There is a recent, very nice article by Ruchi Shah in the Times of India on the Karnataka miracle. He says the state was fifth in 2000 in per capita income. It has gone up to number 3 now as per latest reckoning. I mean, imagine 15th to 3rd. And what has happened? It is the miracle of Bangalore. It is the talent in the city which has united all the people, sustained all the people, and the network. I mean, you get the best network there for people to come and invest, make money, provide employment, jobs, and other things. I think we have to think from those perspectives. How do we take care of the people who are likely to come to our cities in the future? That's the second point. Even look at the case of Punjab and Haryana. Both are equally placed. 66, the bifurcation happened. Till 2000, they were the same level, 5th and 6th. Come 2020, Haryana 14th or 15th, and that's the miracle of Gurgaon. The kind of investment, kind of jobs which Gurgaon has attracted and provided, and the nearness to Delhi, to the national capital. I think that those lessons need to be picked up. Cities won't come up just like that unless people have jobs and roti for their kids in the evening. They will come to the cities. So I think we need to look at those economic aspects very, very carefully. Look at the indicators for the southern states. All the southern states and Gujarat, Maharashtra, our two states, their urban indicators are the highest. Per capita income is amongst the highest. The gross enrollment ratio is the highest. Net reproduction rate is the lowest. So there is a clear link, as Saswat is talking about the evidence, between urbanization and better quality of life for the people. I think that has to be established and advocated very, very strongly for people in the eastern states to pick up that model. That was my first broad point. Now look at the structure of our corporations, structure of our urban local bodies. The share of their own resources which the ULBs are able to generate is only 47%, right? Which is 0.15% of the national GDP. In most countries, it is up to 1% of the GDP is generated by the cities as their own resources. I think that's a very weak link. We have to generate more resources for our ULBs. The B point, the money which comes from the intra-government transfers in India is 40%. it is still 0.5% of the GDP. If you look at some of the better off countries, even the middle income countries, it is 2 to 5%. The states are very strong in asking the government of India for money, but to transfer that money to the ULBs at a lower level and to the Jilla Panchayats, that does not happen. I think that point needs to be highlighted very strongly. Our O&M expenditure falls short by 40%. The recovery on various services, water, roads, lighting, all these things, we fall short by 40%. I think we need to do some, make enough user charges recoveries to ensure that this is done. This was the second broad point, which is strengthen our ULBs financially. The third point is inequity. I mean, if you look at, I got an opportunity, thanks to the government of Gujarat, to be in RERA for 5 years. Leave aside the 6 cities, major cities which we know about very well, there is hardly any development in other parts of the state in terms of real estate, job creation, industrialization, employment. If there's a total red, there is a map in RERA, people can go and have a look. I think we need to make some effort for those uncovered areas and the Purvi Patti, as we call it, bordering the states of Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh and Maharashtra. We need to make some efforts for those areas. I have one little difference with Saswat and the HLC. I think when we make the plans on HRM, just to say that we have one planner for 1 million people is not enough. We need to go down. Which are the places which are coming up in Gujarat? All development is happening in, let's say, Nadiyar, Anand, Morbi, Wankaner, Himmatnagar, Mehsana, Kalol. Just look at those shiny examples and make sure there are enough urban planners in those areas. Don't look at the state as a whole. Pick up the cities, pick up the places where development is happening fast on its own. Make sure those urban local bodies are properly staffed with urban planners, town planners and all the experts that is required. The B point in this point is that we could set up RERA in a short time, thanks to my predecessor Manjula Ben, also the late Manjula Ben, because there is a lot of flexibility to RERA. And that's the wonderful part. The resources which RERA raised from the builders, from the applicants, RERA was free to use those resources to appoint good people like Vatsalbhai and the best people, legal, financial, town planners, administrators. That flexibility is there. We didn't have to go to the state government asking for funds every time. I think we need to look at that model and propagate that model as part of the HLC recommendations, that sustainability has to be built into the system. Wonderful, Keshav, I feel very proud of Tata, Keshav, Vimal for the work on the, and Gautam for the work on riverfront. But there are many other structures which we can work on. The other day I was at Sarkis Rosa. What a beautiful structure. I mean, I was amazed by what Kabuze had to say, that you have your own Acropolis in Sarkis Rosa. Why do you need to go to Greece? Why can't we pick up such structures and make those structures places of interest where people can go and enjoy? A friend of mine has gone to Samarkand. He's sending us pictures from there, and they are no better than our Jami Masjid or Sarkis Rosa and all, but he spent all the money to go to Samarkand to see those buildings, and they're nicely lit. That's all. The next point, I'll just take 2 more minutes, sir. The next point which I wanted to make was, if you look at Gujarat specific areas, look at Ahmedabad, wonderful, well-functioning city, but where is the growth happening? The growth is happening in Kalol, Katlal, Katasan, Nandabad, Nanduka and Changodar. Where is the plan for those areas? Is there any plan for those areas? None. I'm not aware of. Why don't we focus on those areas where people on their own steam are settling down, making money, providing jobs, providing employment, are happy to be there? Why don't we plan for those areas? At least provide a road network outside your order limits so that there is a proper road laid out and people know they can't do any construction on that road. It will be demolished. That's the first point on this aspect, Gujarat aspect. The second point is the growth is happening around the corridors. Whether it is Rajkot, Bankaner, Morbi, Rajkot, Bhavnagar, Himmatnagar towards Gandhinagar. Look at these corridors, what unplanned growth is taking place. Can we do something about this? Can we have some plans for growth? Those are the live areas. We don't need to look at the whole state, but pick up those live wire areas and make a difference to those areas. The third part is there are a huge number of cities in Gujarat which are growing in clusters. Right? Look at Akhuda, Anand, Nadiyad, Vallabhidyanagar. Look at Mehsana. Can we have some kind of an overarching regional body which looks at a planned implementation of growth in those areas? That would be very good. Last point is that we are neglecting our water sources very badly. So every plan must have a very strong focus on water bodies. They are protected, recharged, and we owe it to our future generations for that. That's all, friends, I had to say.
Thank you, Amarjit.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate your. I do feel that there has to be a more prioritization about fast urbanizing areas and focus on that, as well as water resources. Water resources, गुजरात में हाल ख़राब है और हिमालय में शहरों में पानी आना बंद हो गया है. मसूरी में पानी अब नहीं आ रहा है, नैनीताल में पानी आना. कैन यू इमेजिन, जहाँ से नदियाँ निकल रही हैं वहाँ पर, और वो लूट मची है नदियों की. सॉरी, जस्ट वांट टू कन्वे दैट. जो लूट मची है, द सैंड माफिया एंड द पीपल हु आर टेकिंग आउट द रॉक्स, उनको निकाल के, तो जो माउंटेन की नदियाँ थीं जो स्लोली फ्लो करती थीं और वो पानी नीचे जज्ब होता था उसका, नाउ दे बिकम लाइक रियली टॉरेंट्स. वो नदियाँ, उनका पूरा इकोलॉजिकल कैरेक्टर बदल गया है. मगर साहब, जोशी मठ हो या कुछ हो, दबा के वही काम हो रहा है, वही चल रहा है कि नदियों की सैंड निकालिए, वो करिए. पूरे हिमालय का सारा इकोलॉजिकल कैरेक्टर और जो ब्यूटी है, उसको बड़ी कोशिश हो रही है उसको ख़राब करने की. आई एम सॉरी टू से दैट, बट वेरी गुड पॉइंट्स अबाउट सरखेज, रोज़ा एंड दीज एरिया, दे शुड बी टेकन अप. आई थिंक जहाँ भी हमारी खूबसूरती है, आई वॉज कलेक्टर जूनागढ़, out of 340 ASI monuments, 280 are in जूनागढ़. वहाँ पर भी आप जाएं तो आपको महसूस होगा कितनी चीज़ें को रेस्टोर और प्रिजर्व करने की ज़रूरत है. बट वत्सल भाई,
Thank you, sir. I have very different points to discuss, sir. We are talking about urban planning, urban cities, development and everything. But now it is the time to think about the quality of construction and quality of infrastructure. I just want to give one example, sir. कि यहाँ वाले सब जानते हैं वर्मा साहब का काम. उनके जाने के बाद फिर क्यों अहमदाबाद के रोड टूटने लगे? और जब उन्होंने 98 में जो रोड बनाया वो 2008 तक नहीं टूटे थे. What is the reason? Actually, that is the infrastructure. We are spending lots of money in such infrastructure, but still we are getting inferior quality of work at infrastructure. The same, the talk of the town is the quality of bridge constructions. Huge money, public money we are spending on urban infrastructure, and if the quality of urban infrastructure is not good, then obviously our urban areas and our cities will not going to function properly. I'm not talking about only that, the all infrastructure, same the water supply, same the sewerage, same the water distribution system, everywhere solid waste management, we are lacking because all these things we require to be address very fast. I give you very small example. Some of the contractors are working in Ahmedabad Municipal Corporation. You know that those contractors are not quoting for the Sabarmati riverfront project. उनको पूछा कि आप साबरमती के टेंडर क्यों नहीं भरते हो? बोला नहीं यार, साबरमती में हमको काम करने में बहुत दिक्कत होती है. क्यों? क्योंकि वहाँ बहुत कड़क चेकिंग होता है. एंड यू नो दैट द क्वालिटी ऑफ साबरमती रिवर फ्रंट एट प्रेजेंट एक्स्ट्रा ऑर्डिनरी सुपर क्वालिटी. It is also public work, but still the quality of Sabarmati riverfront is excellent. And similarly, the same
देख रही है वो ये सो यू नो द होल वर्ल्ड हैज चेंज. ये फोन ने तो एक आफत क्रिएट कर दी सबके लिए. और क्वालिटी कॉन्शियसनेस हम लोगों ने सड़क पे मारे मारे फिर के काम किया. आई स्टिल रिमेंबर मिस्टर नरेंद्र मोदी वाज टेलिंग समबडी इन द कैबिनेट कि साहब वो एक था नवाज में मैंने एक नीचे देखी. तो कभी कभी उनको जब नींद नहीं आती थी, मुझे भी नींद नहीं आती, तो कहते थे आई चलिए आपके साथ चलते हैं. So we used to test the contractor. पानी में ग्लास में पानी फुल करके we used to ask the car to drive at 100 kilometers per hour रात में. और अगर पानी गिरा तो उसका 10% कटा. तो देखिए ये बहुत सीधी बात है. एंड आई मेट वन कॉन्ट्रैक्टर अमरजीत. जब मैं लौटा वर्ल्ड बैंक से एक दिन, वो हिम्मत सिंह भाई ले गए उनके यहाँ, तो उनके घर गए हैं, वो चाय पिला रहे थे. मैंने कौन है ये लोग? कहने कॉन्ट्रैक्टर हैं. तो वो आए, कहने लगे साहब हमको पहचानते नहीं हैं. मैंने क्यों? कहें सर आपकी वजह से बड़ा नुकसान हुआ हम लोगों का. मैंने कहा क्यों भाई? कहने लगे इतना ज़्यादा हमने क्वालिटी पे वो दिया स्ट्रेस दैट वी मेड नो मनी आउट ऑफ इट, बट वी आर ऑल वेरी प्राउड ऑफ इट. तो ये एक कल्चर हम लोग को, ये जुगाड़ से तो आप लोग निकलिए किसी तरीके से, जुगाड़ से. एंड द टिरनी ऑफ द व्हाट्सएप एंड ये फ़ोन का चक्कर है, इससे निकलिए. थोड़ा टाइम किसी तरीके से फ़ोन को अपने से दूर रख दीजिए 2 घंटे के लिए.
सर मैं एक बंदे को खड़ा करना चाहूँगा जो सीजी रोड पे हमारा सुपरविज़न जिसने किया था वो फर्स्ट टाइम, और जो टेम्परेचर की वजह से जो कॉन्ट्रैक्टर को जिसको बोलते हैं टाइट किया था, राकेश भाई पारेख हमारे बीच में है, वो जेएमसी में थे उस टाइम पे. एंड ही वाज द इंजीनियर एंड ही वाज द क्वालिटी कॉन्शियस पर्सन फॉर द सेम रोड, जो रोड 15 साल तक अच्छी तरह चला. रमणलाल एंड कंपनी. थैंक यू वेरी मच.
हेलो. ये लोग मशीनरी भी तो लेके आए थे हम लोग बाहर से, कहीं से कुछ, हम लोग पता नहीं कि काफ़ी. यू हैव टू बी क्रेजी टू डू ऑल दोज काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स. मिस्टर पटेल, नाउ इट्स योर टर्न.
Yes. Good evening. Till this moment, we talk about the rapid urbanization, unstoppable migration, and due to that, in coming 10-20 years, more than half of the population will be urban. And being a developing city, we know the resources, what resources and municipal corporation or state or the central government is having. But my all previous speakers were very much silent about a role of or a new role of private sector in upcoming urban development trust. So that is one of the biggest point where the private equity can be capitalized and invested in various infrastructure projects. We are limited up to the few PPP project of road or airport, but there are much wider chances. So in new policy, I think this is one of the portion has to be thrust. Second, Verma sir has also told, and Shashwat was also telling about we don't have a town plan. Actually, in 1948, there were only 15 town planners in India. All were studying from UK. And at that time, this 15 town planner has created Indian Institute of Town Planner India. And today more than 8,000 town planners, it is a non-governmental personal body of the town planner. So in absence of any government regulator in town planning, this body has tried to do something. There are a number of the things has to be changed with that body, but it has a huge database. It has more than 18 places like Ahmedabad. They had an auditorium, conference room, and that can be properly put for the national use. This is the second thing. Third thing about, we all were very much silent about the congestion, pollution, parking. So when in last summit our Honorable Prime Minister has said about the net zero emission, and if I am not wrong, 2070, India has promised to the world we are net zero emission. So in that case, how the urban policy, how the urban regulation can be chalked out. Like, suppose if we see about affordable housing zone. So our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Mr. Gautam, this is the brainchild, they put a 1 kilometer depth up to 80 square kilometer. Now it is a 90 square meter size compulsory an apartment in that zone. And due to that, we had more than 60,000 residential apartment lesser than 80 square meter size, and all by the private developer. So again I come to that point, that there is enough role, and that role can be betterly played by using our various acts, various our planning tool, and sometimes we have to use such radical tools also. Third thing is about, in most of the state, their planning act is not flexible. It is very age-old act. During British time, suppose in Punjab, just they have revised, but in Rajasthan, it was a 1925 act. So looking to today's momentum of urban development, immediately there should be something by financing from central to state. Few things has to be put as a parameter. Like, we should have the new act, and we should facilitate the private people also. And finally, we all were very much silent about the urban poor. As we have rightly said, Verma sir has said, that there is a gap is increasing. So in that case, how the new urban agenda or urban policy or urban principle, they will take care of the urban poor. As more and more EWS and lower income group people are rushing toward the city, and that is the major thrust. And finally, there are excellent examples of Ahmedabad of town planning schemes. But myself and Surendra Kaka, we were discussing, in last 10 years, this is a successful tool. This tool has been given a successful result in a High Court or Supreme Court also. But in last few years, this tool has not been properly, efficiently operated. So, and that's why our Sir Amarjit Singh, he was a RERA chairman. Even though he took an interest how to speedily implement the town planning scheme, how in a peri-urban area or a fringe area, how to provide the urban services through a successful scheme model and through CRDF, I think. Excellent guidelines has been prepared. But unfortunately still, our higher urban development machinery, or he as a town
इन सब सब्जेक्ट्स को एक एक अलग अलग सीरीज कर लेते हैं.
Definitely, as a GICA, we will be in touch with the 3-4 institute. We'll have, when your visit is there, we can have a different such series. One is urban governance, second is related to urban poor, third may be related to private sector, fourth may be various means of creating finance for the local self-government. Such subject we can do so.
थैंक यू वेरी मच. सुरेंद्र भाई सिर्फ चुपचाप बैठ के तो चले जाए इसका तो अर्थ नहीं है कोई. जानते मानते हैं ना आप लोग. तो इनको तो पकड़ना ज़रूरी है. मैं वहाँ म्यूनिसिपल कॉरपोरेशन में भी इनको पकड़ लेता था. तो ये जो है इनसे इनको कुछ तो कहना ही पड़ेगा. અગત્યની વસ્તુ એ છે ઇમ્પ્લિમેન્ટેશન. બાકી વાતો કરવાથી કંઈ મતલબ નથી કે આવું કરવું જોઈએ, આવું કરવું જોઈએ, આવું થવું જોઈએ. પ્લાન સરસ બનાવે, ઇમ્પ્લિમેન્ટ ના થાય તો એનો મતલબ નહીં. અને છેલ્લે પ્લાન તો ઇમ્પ્લિમેન્ટ થઈ જાય, સરસ રીતે થઈ જાય, પણ શહેરના રહેવાવાળાની જો આદતોના સુધારણા પાણી બચાવવાના છે, સારું ધ્યાન રાખવાના છે, ટ્રાફિક સાયન્સ કરવાના છે, એ બધી વસ્તુ છે. આ સિવાય બધું મળતું નથી. જન્મના રોગ છે, આપણે રોટી માટે બહુ સરસ ઉદાહરણ બનાવ્યા. જરા જોઈને જુઓ અત્યારે કેવી સ્થિતિ છે. આ 10-12 વર્ષ પહેલા બનાવ્યા હતા ને અને અત્યારે સ્થિતિ કેવી રહે છે. આ ગંદકી હોય છે. એન્વાયરમેન્ટ સારું થયું હતું, સારું પોલ્યુશન કેવી સ્થિતિ હતી. મેં ઘણા એનજીઓને કહ્યું કે તમે ત્યાં બેસીને કરો કે લેડીઝ માટે કોઈ જેને કે છે ને બધાયને એમને સારું કામ થાય, બાળકો માટે એક્ટિવિટી થઈ જાય, સિનિયર સિટીઝન માટે એક્ટિવિટી થઈ જાય, એવું કંઈક કરો કે જેથી આ લાઇવલીહુડ સરસ થાય. તો જ સાચા અર્થમાં જે આપણે સિટી ડેવલપમેન્ટ કરવા માંગીએ છીએ ને થઈ શકીએ. બરાબર છે, નીચે લેવલથી જ થવાનું. બાકી જો બહુ સરસ બનાવીએ અને જો એનું જેને મેન્ટેનન્સ બરાબર ના થાય, એની જેને કે છે વાપરનારા બરાબર રીતે ન વાપરી શકે, તો એનો કંઈ મતલબ નથી. એટલે જ્યાં સુધી બધા લોકો આપણે સમજી ગયા ત્યાં સુધી આ જે છે ને સિટી આપણું સરસ નહીં થઈ શકે. એટલે જરૂરી છે બધાનો સહકાર અને કરવું જોઈએ. અસ્તુ. थैंक यू भाई, आप हमेशा बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट बातें कहते हैं. स्पीड इज़ वेरी इम्पोर्टेंट क्योंकि शहर डेवलप हो जाते हैं और उसके पीछे पीछे टाउन प्लानिंग स्कीम चलती है. पहले वो डेवलप हो गया फिर उसके पीछे चल रहा है, उसका कोई ताल्लुक नहीं है. आई ऑल्सो हिंदुस्तान में मेंटेनेंस का कॉन्सेप्ट नहीं है. अब किसी भी बजट में मेंटेनेंस का नहीं रहता. बना दिया, छोड़ के खत्म करो, उसको छोड़ के अब आगे दूसरा बनाओ. तो ये जो मैंने बात की थी ऑप्टिमाइजेशन ऑफ प्रेजेंट एसेट्स, मेंटेनेंस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, दैट इज क्रिटिकल दैट वी हैव टू लर्न. लास्टली सिविक सेंस. देखिए शहर में म्यूनिसिपल कॉरपोरेशन हो या डेवलपमेंट अथॉरिटी हो, वी कैन नॉट रन दिस सिटी विदाउट दैट सिविक सेंस. दोनों चीज़ें सिंक्रोनाइज होने की ज़रूरत है. इधर से लोगों का कोऑपरेशन, इधर से हम लोगों की कोशिश हो, तब होके बात. थैंक यू वेरी मच. नाउ वी लाइक टू ओपन दिस. Wait, please. Can you do one thing? Can you first applaud the panelists? अब आप the floor is open. आप अपने को इंट्रोड्यूस करें और बताएं.
I would request other speakers also to come on this, please. You may raise your hand and the mic will be with you.
और आप ये बता दें किसको आप एड्रेस कर रहे हैं क्वेश्चन.
So just mention your name and your question, please.
I am Sandeep Mathur. I am into concrete, quality of concrete. Question is to Vatsal sir. Sir, आपने क्वालिटी का क्वेश्चन उठाया है. अब जब टेंडर ही कॉन्ट्रैक्टर का -25-30% पे पास होता है, तो क्वालिटी तो कैसे आएगी सर? वो 33% लेस का टेंडर लेके हमारे आरएमसी प्लांट पे आते हैं और फिर बोलते हैं हमको कंक्रीट दो. कैसे हो? तो कैन वी नॉट स्टॉप? ऐसा कुछ रेगुलेशन आए कि एटलीस्ट माइनस पे तो ना जाए. जो एस्टिमेशन है वो 2 साल 3 साल पता नहीं कब एसओआर बना है उसके ऊपर एस्टिमेट हुआ है और उसमें भी फिर 25-30% लेस पे कोट होता है. तो क्वालिटी तो इम्पॉसिबल है. मतलब जो
कहने का मतलब ये है कि कॉन्ट्रैक्टर क्यों माइनस में भरते हैं फिर. साबरमती रिवर फ्रंट में तो कोई नहीं भरता है. और साबरमती रिवर फ्रंट का कॉन्ट्रैक्टर आएगा तो वो बोलेगा कि मेरे क्वालिटी चाहिए और हमारे यहाँ क्वालिटी चलती है. तो ऐसा नहीं है क्योंकि जो पूरे कंट्री में जो है
ऐसा है, if you permit me, मैं आपको, I was talking to the chief town planner of the redevelopment authority of Singapore. मैं भी बहुत परेशान हुआ इनसे, समझे आप? तो वहाँ पर उनसे बात कर रहे थे कि भाई आप किस तरीके से इसको सॉल्व करते हैं। तो उन्होंने ये बताया कि वो इन हाउस एस्टिमेट बनाते हैं किसी प्रोजेक्ट को। मान लीजिए ब्रिज बनना है, इन हाउस बनाते हैं, देयर इंजीनियर्स, देयर आर्किटेक्ट्स, एवरीबडी, दे मेक अ वेरी वेरी ऑथेंटिक एस्टिमेट। अब वो देखते हैं किसी ने अनयूजुअली नीचे एस्टिमेट के किया है, उसको रिजेक्ट कर देते हैं, दे डोंट एक्सेप्ट इट। दैट they often prefer a HL203. They are not in favor mostly of L1. हम लोग या ये L1 के साथ अपनी रिस्क भी ज़िंदगी की रहती है ना, कि कोई उसको कर दिया और पता चला वो कोई पीछे पड़ गया उसके बाद, कि भाई छोड़ो यार ये L1 को करो। बट इट इज़ कॉम्प्रोमाइजिंग क्वालिटी इन आवर कंट्री, L1, इसमें कोई शक नहीं है। और उसका एक मेन कारण ये है कि इन हाउस कैपेसिटी नहीं है ठीक से उसको असेस करने की, इसलिए उसी पर सारा चीज़ डिपेंड। साबरमती रिवर फ्रंट में इन हाउस कैपेसिटी है तो उससे मजाक नहीं हो पाता है, क्योंकि जहाँ नहीं है वहाँ पर एयरबैन भी चलता है।
ऐसा गवर्नमेंट प्रोजेक्ट्स के लिए कोई सर पे नहीं बैठा है सर, तो इसीलिए तो ये हो रहा है ना। अथॉरिटी के ऊपर भी अथॉरिटी चाहिए, क्योंकि मॉरल तो बहुत डाउन, उसमें तो क्या चर्चा करें सर।
કેટલા પર ऑथोरिटी पर કેટલી ऑथोरिटी करे हम?
आपको कैसे पता है कि अथॉरिटी के ऊपर अथॉरिटी नहीं है?
विजिलेंस ऑफिसर
I
होता
won't
है।
say I won't say anything more, but अथॉरिटी के ऊपर अथॉरिटी है।
सर विजिलेंस ऑफिसर भी होते हैं, मगर एक्चुअली ऐसा होता है कि सबके परसेंटेज फिक्स होते हैं, इज द प्रॉब्लम।
ऐसा है कि देर आर अदर इशूज ऑल्सो विच कैन बी टेकन अप। बात सही है, आप ठीक बात कर रहे हैं, बट लेट अस परस्यू अदर इशूज ऑल्सो बिकॉज सम ऑफ द पीपल।
My question is to My question is to Mr. Verma साहब कि हम लोगों ने आज पूरा डिस्कशन किया अर्बन डेवलपमेंट के लिए किया, तो हम कुछ ऐसा नहीं कर सकते कि हम गाँव को सेल्फ सफिशिएंट बनाए कि गाँव में ही डेवलपमेंट हो और लोग गाँव से शहरों में नहीं आए, क्योंकि जो लोग गाँव से शहरों में आते जाएंगे तो फिर तो यही हाल रहेगा कि शहर को आप कितना बढ़ाएंगे। एक छोटा शहर है, उसको बढ़ा कर कितना करेंगे। उसकी वजह से हम ऐसा कर सकते हैं कि गाँव को ही सेल्फ सफिशिएंट बनाएं।
देखिए ये जो आपने कहा ना, इसके बारे में वर्ल्ड में बहुत सोचा गया है। ड्यूरिंग द कम्युनिस्ट times, other places, there were this village village development, cottage industry, and so many other things. हर जगह जो mobility towards urbanization है ना, उसको quick से रोक नहीं पाया कोई। It has continued because not just about getting jobs, it's about getting connectivity, it's about getting communication, it is about getting access to external forces, it's about education, it's about creating। आजकल की दुनिया, we are a young nation, इनको चाहिए कि शहर की तरह ग्लिटरिंग लाइट्स को देखें और वहाँ पर जाके गांव में नहीं बैठे रहें। तो एक माइंडसेट पूरी दुनिया में है। यू नो वी आर ऑन अ लोअर एंड ऑफ urbanization actually. Israel is 97% urbanized. US is 75% urbanized. So is UK. We are on the lower end. तो urbanization का ट्रेंड रुकेगा नहीं, ये तो होता रहेगा। You can make the villages more connected to see rural urban connectivity
मिशन में प्रॉपर लिंक हो. बट टू फील कि ये आप रूरल डेवलपमेंट करके अर्बनाइजेशन को वो कर देंगे, दैट इज़ नॉट हैपन हिस्टोरिकली एनीवेयर इन द वर्ल्ड.
Next question, please.
Rivers are the best sources of preserving and doing these kinds of things. Thank you, sir. कहना पड़ेगा ना शाश्वत, बताना पड़ेगा इनको. तो हम लोगों के जो रिकमेंडेशन है हाई लेवल कमेटी का, उसमें हमने कहा है कि 25 शुरू में टाउन्स लिए जाएं जहाँ पर वाटर फ्रंट एंड रिवर फ्रंट को डेवलप करें, उसमें सेंट्रल बिजनेस डिस्ट्रिक्ट बनाएं, उसमें पब्लिक स्पेसेस बनाएं और उस जगह को केवल डेवलप नहीं करें बल्कि मोनेटाइज भी करें. सो वी हैव रिकमेंडेड दैट. जी नहीं, गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया इज एक्चुअली गोइंग टू सपोर्ट दैट रिकमेंडेशन.
नमस्कार.
Sir, I have a few, just one suggestion that in the town planning department, can we have sub-departments of long-term planning which deals only for more than 20 years of vision, then 5 to 10 years, and one is immediate. अभी क्या हो रहा है, जो एक कॉर्पोरेशन और अर्बन डेवलपमेंट अथॉरिटी है, उसमें एक टाउन प्लानर है जो सीनियर टाउन प्लानर है. He is busy every day either giving in plot validation certificate, then he gets time, he goes to local area plan, then he gets time, he goes for TP scheme, and after 10 years he gets time to go to the development. So if there is a body which continuously thinks about long term, short term and immediate planning, it might be better. Thank you.
नहीं, मगर सुनिए दिक्कत क्या हो रही है हमारे यहाँ. वी हैव अ वेरी गुड अर्बन प्लानर दीपा बहन दवे. शी इज होल्डिंग 3-4 चार्जेस. रिवर फ्रंट भी करती हैं, अहमदाबाद म्यूनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशन भी करती हैं, फिर अहमदाबाद अर्बन डेवलपमेंट अथॉरिटी में भी जाती हैं. आज जायका की पूरी मीटिंग की. व्हेन यू नो यू आर ओनली वन पर्सन होल्डिंग सो मेनी जॉब्स, तो इस तरीके का पर्सपेक्टिव नहीं हो पा रहा है. लोग ही नहीं है हमारे पास. वी हैव टू फिल अप पोजीशन. अहमदाबाद म्यूनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशन में 3 अर्बन प्लानर्स हैं केवल. सॉरी अबाउट इट.
Namaskar. I'm Girish Patel, developing in Chankheda. My question to Dr. Shri Verma ji. In the post era of post-COVID era, AI and Chat GPT is happening today. क्यों अपने दुनिया से कंपेयर करते हैं कि इनका अर्बनाइजेशन 50% हो गया और हम हमारा पूरा जियोग्राफी अलग है, हमारा एग्रो क्लाइमेटिक जोन अलग है. Why can't we go for urban infrastructure in rural area? क्योंकि employment will be the question now onwards for India. So I need clarification. Thank you.
मैं तो उस पर ज़्यादा क्लैरिफिकेशन नहीं दे पाऊँगा, मगर सिंपल चीज़ है कि द जॉब्स, द एम्प्लॉयमेंट, द स्किल सेट, दे आर ऑल लोकेटेड इन द सिटीज़.
सर सम एक्सटेंशन. अभी मेरा बगोदरा के पास में साइट है, मेरे पास डेडिकेटेड लीज लाइन है. आई कैन हैव मिनी IT park there and it is very connected to urban area. Why can't it be done at various city because it is highly urbanized state of Gujarat?
ठीक कह रहे हैं आप.
Yeah.
इसके लिए हमको एक रीजनल पर्सपेक्टिव लेके चलना पड़ेगा.
हाँ.
यही नहीं करेंगे कि केवल अहमदाबाद में वो करें, बट ऐसे एरियाज जो फास्ट अर्बनाइजिंग हैं, जहाँ ये पोटेंशियल है, उन एरियाज़ को भी लिंक करें.
Yes.
तो एक क्लस्टर अप्रोच और रीजनल अप्रोच इज़ इम्पॉर्टेंट. दैट विल मेक सेकेंडरी सिटीज़ एंड सेटेलाइट सिटीज़ ऑल्सो वेरी वायबल.
And you are talking about optimization of resources. Already अपने
अपने वहाँ अच्छा रेल नेटवर्क है, रोड नेटवर्क है, सो अपने बिकॉज इसका जीडीपी सर्विस सेक्टर का काफ़ी बढ़ रहा है जो डेवलप कंट्री में है, तो वी कैन थिंक ऑफ इट. दैट इज माय सजेशन. थैंक यू.
And now we'll have the last question.
Can I have my question?
Can you hear me? Okay. I'm Parul. I'm an architect. There are two things. I'm talking about the rural thing first. Can we not make rural village clusters? Because our villages are quite close by. And there if we provide a lot of facilities. Because I'm also an organic farmer. And I see that if we will keep on urbanizing all the agricultural land, where will we get our food? And I see that as a major issue right now. And because our rural areas are not getting proper facilities, they don't even have sometimes a school beyond 8th standard. Proper hospitals नहीं है. कर रहे हैं, but if that cluster is taken, they're 5 kilometers away, 3 kilometers away from each other. They themselves can become mini cities and mini clusters. Second is to this for the city. Waterlogging is a major problem in our cities because we have not fixed the highest level and the lowest level in the city, where the every area the road level has to be fixed, and when we are resurfacing or repairing the roads, we cannot raise the level, and this is also creating a lot of helplessness. Thank you.
बहुत ज़माने के बाद आपसे मुलाकात हो रही है. नाइस टू सी यू. देखिए ऐसा है, पहले लेट मी आंसर अबाउट वाटर लॉगिंग. जो हमारे ये टाउन प्लानिंग स्कीम बन रही है, व्हेन आई वेंट डीपर इनटू इट, आप बैठें प्लीज, तो देखा कि उसमें वाटर चैनल्स और कॉन्टूर्स की प्लानिंग नहीं है ही नहीं उसमें, उसके बिना करते हैं. अब हरपाल बैठे, ये he's the additional CTPO now. Now they're going to bring that factor in. There is this Japanese way, वो वाटर चैनल्स को लेके डायरेक्ट करते हैं into a flood, क्या कहलाता है, हाँ, फ्लड कंट्रोल रिजर्वॉयर बनाते हैं. लोकल एरिया की प्लानिंग होती है, उसमें वाटर चैनल को डायरेक्ट करते हैं into a flood control thing. वो उसको उस तरीके से करते हैं, इसलिए पानी की भरने की दिक्कत नहीं है. हमारे यहाँ आजकल बन रहा है, अभी गुड़गांव में आप देखिए, बहुत अच्छा वाटर चैनल था, उस पर बना दिया उठा के. उनसे पूछ रहे हैं साहब कि आप म्यूनिसिपल कमिश्नर से क्यों नहीं बनाने वाले, जवाब ही नहीं देते. सो देखिए, एक तो बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट चीज़ ये आ रही है कि अफसरान जो है, दे हैव टू डेवलप अ सेंस ऑफ इंटेग्रिटी एंड पैशन अबाउट डूइंग द करेक्ट थिंग. कॉम्प्रोमाइज़ करने की जो एक आदत बन गई है कि भाई ठीक है, इसको कोई कर दो, हमसे कौन पूछने वाला है, ये वाटर चैनल बंद हो गया, ख़त्म. तो एक तो ये. दूसरा, आप जो रूरल विलेज क्लस्टर्स की बात कर रहे हैं, इट्स अ लार्जर इशू. आई थिंक दिस इज़ नॉट द फोरम टू डिस्कस इट. वी कैन टॉक अबाउट इट समवेयर एल्स. ओके, कुछ कहना है? ये लीजिए.
આપણે 132 ફૂટના રોડ પર મોટી સરકાર પાસે પાણી ભરાતું હતું, તમને યાદ હોય તો મેં પાઇપલાઇન નાખી 3 ફૂટની વસ્ત્રાપુર તળાવમાં ડેવલપમેન્ટ નાખ્યું. 2-3 વર્ષ ચાલ્યું. પછી શું થયું ખબર છે? એ લાઇનની અંદર ગટર લાઇન જોડી દીધી બધા લોકોએ. હવે આવું ઘણી જગ્યાએ થયું છે. જેટલા તળાવ હતા એ બધા તળાવો આજુબાજુના વિસ્તારનું પાણી તળાવની અંદર જાય એ પ્રમાણે મેં સિસ્ટમ ગોઠવી હતી, કરી હતી. અનફોર્ચ્યુનેટલી આપણા લોકોએ જ એને બગાડ નાખી છે.
Last question from Mr. Anand.
Question is to Mr. Jignesh Bhai. I appreciate that you mentioned about the importance of local area planning and transit-oriented planning, etc.
few percentages are being added every year. So my question is whether we should have some kind of evaluation mechanism during this plan period. For example, the current plan is going on, and there the transit-oriented zone was proposed, and higher FSI is given there. So with what rationale this was given? એટલે આપણે જેને માટે કર્યું હતું એના 4 FSI એ કોના માટે કર્યું હતું અને અત્યારે કોણ એનો ઉપયોગ કરી રહ્યો છે અને એનો ફાયદો ઉઠાવી રહ્યો છે? અત્યારે મોંઘામાં મોંઘા ઘરો આમલી રોડ પર થઈ રહ્યા છે. So should we have a relook at that and then make necessary corrections in the next plan or during the plan also? That is what is my question. અને હવે તો બધી ઘણી વસ્તુઓ માટે છે.
So Anand bhai, a very good question. Yes, answer is yes. We have to review and redirect whatever is necessary. So અત્યારે આપણો જે પ્લાન છે જનરલી આપણા ડેવલપમેન્ટ પ્લાન છે એ દર 10 વર્ષે રિન્યૂ થતા હોય છે, રિવાઇઝ કરતા હોય છે. કાકાએ પણ કહ્યું વન ઓફ ધ રેકમેન્ડેશન ઇઝ કે આપણા એ પ્લાન જે છે દર 5 વર્ષે રિવ્યૂ થવા જોઈએ. રિવિઝન ભલે 10 વર્ષે થાય પણ 5 વર્ષે રિવ્યૂ થવા જોઈએ અને જે કાંઈ નેસેસરી કોર્સ કરેક્શન હોય એ થવું જોઈએ. બીજું છે તમે જે કહ્યું કે ટીઓડીમાં જ્યાં આગળ જે આપણે હાયર એફએસઆઈ આપવાની વાત કરીએ છીએ, હવે એમાં ઘણા બધા અપ્રોચીસ છે કે બહાર તો ગ્રોથ થવાનો જ છે. જે સિટી જે છે ધીમે ધીમે ગ્રોથ બહાર થઈ રહ્યો છે, બહાર તરફ થવાનો છે. ત્યાં આગળ ખુલ્લી જગ્યાઓ છે, સસ્તી જમીનો છે, ત્યાં આગળ ગ્રોથની પોસિબિલિટી વધારે છે. પણ અત્યારે જે આપણા એક્ઝિસ્ટિંગ સિટીઝ જે છે એને આપણે કેવી રીતના રિવાઇટલાઇઝ કરીએ કે નવું કરીએ, એના માટે તમારે ઇન્સેન્ટિવ બેઝડ પ્લાનિંગની જરૂર છે. કે જે અત્યારે જે વત્સલભાઈએ પણ કહ્યું કે અત્યારે આપણે કોન્ક્રીટની ક્વોલિટી જે છે એ 25 વર્ષ 30 વર્ષથી વધારે નથી રહી. પણ અત્યારે તમે જે જૂના મકાનો કે જૂના જે ફ્લેટ્સ જે છે ત્યાં આગળ લોકો જે રહે છે એ જુઓ કે એ લોકો એવા જૂના જર્જરિત મકાનોમાં રહ્યા કરશે જ્યાં સુધી એમને કોઈક આવીને રીડેવલપમેન્ટ કરવા માટે પ્રપોઝલ નહીં આવે. હવે એ વસ્તુ એના માટે આપણે એક ઇન્સેન્ટિવ આપવો જોઈએ હાયર એફએસઆઈનો, પણ હાયર એફએસઆઈ જે છે અનકન્ડિશનલ નહીં આપીએ અને એના બદલે ત્યાં આગળ પણ રસ્તા પહોળા થાય અને એ લોકોને વધારે સારો એક્સેસ મળે, વધારે સારું પાર્કિંગ ફેસિલિટી મળે અને પાર્કિંગ જેમ બને ઓછું કરવું પડે અને વધારે પબ્લિક ટ્રાન્સપોર્ટ યુઝ કરતા થાય લોકો, એવી જગ્યાએ આપણે આ બધા ઇન્સેન્ટિવ આપવા જોઈએ. એટલે પર્પઝ જે ટીઓડી આપણા ઝોનનો જે હતો એ હતો. આઈ એગ્રી ફુલ્લી કે એને આપણે ફરી એકવાર રિવ્યૂ કરીને જે પ્રમાણે કોર્સ કરેક્શન કરવું પડે એ પ્રમાણે કરવું જોઈએ. પણ આઈ એગ્રી વિથ.
So one young professional has sent us a question online. So it's a very interesting question. He or she has asked that my friends in different fields such as computer engineering, computer science, etc. are not contributing directly much to a society as compared to what I as an urban planner or urban designer can. Still I am very much underpaid as compared to my peers, not only in government and semi-government bodies but private organizations also. So is there any point of time where the situation can improve in future?
देखिए, we are moving towards a 10 trillion economy by 2035 and we are going towards 17 trillion by 2047. With the economy growing up, there will be much better jobs, better quality of jobs, and they'll get better salaries. Wish her luck.
Okay. Now I would like to request Vikas Shah, Honorary Secretary GICA, to present a moment to Dr. Amarjit Singh. I would like to request Shri Anand Tatu to present a memento to Shri N.K. Patel. request Honorary Treasurer GICA Saurin Shah to present a memento to Dr. Vatsal Patel. I would now request Honorary Secretary GICA Vikas Shah to come on dais and deliver his vote of thanks.
It gives me an immense pleasure to deliver the vote of thanks to this knowledge pack event. I would like to thank our distinguished guest Sri Surendra Kaka and speaker for today's evening Sri Keshav Verma sir for sharing his thoughts on envisioning and realizing a new future for Indian cities. I also thank co-speakers Professor Sasad Bandyopadhyay and Professor Jignesh